Hello, everybody.
Hi, it's
Hi.
so good to see everyone
Yeah,
today.
it's crazy.
It's Miss Naomi here and Master Allen. Respect the beard.
I got that there. Hi.
Yeah.
So yes, we are here back once again. We are super excited. We had such good feedback last month when we hosted our parents meetup.
Yes.
It was amazing. We had the amazing Petra occupational therapist with us, giving us amazing tips and just hands-on tools that we can use with our children when they're doing virtual schooling from home, and some of the struggles that they're going with and some of the techniques that you can implement as a parent to help them through that. So you can go back and watch that video as well.
Yes.
That was amazing. We had so much good feedback. We definitely wanted to keep this going.
And if you didn't get to watch it, everything is posted on our page.
Yeah.
You can go to our website and you can access all of our previous blogs. But we just, parents kept on asking, like, can you guys do this every week?
Yeah.
But, we do run a lot of things at once, but we
Yeah.
definitely want to be intentional about spending this time with you because we're parents as well. We have Caleb, who is 13. So now we're parents of a teenager.
Oh my goodness.
As my daughter would put it, she said, Mommy, you are 40 and you have a 13-year-old that you're officially old. So, but the truth is, we have a 13-year-old, we have an 11-year-old in a week.
Yes.
And it's important for us to, connect with you, let you know that we are with you, that we understand, that we are parents, also navigating the interesting challenges that come with 2020, 2021, and beyond.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I just want to say to Nadia and Christina, you guys must rock, saying hi over there. Yeah, so knowing what these things are, so we actually went through, we've been doing a lot of training with Skillz organization. Skillz is an international child development accrediting body that trains child development experts in their field, and also provides content and resources, curriculums for schools to be able to implement. So we've been working a lot with them. And one of the things that was recently brought out that we were working with them is on parent skills. So so if you guys know, at ZENTAI, we always do everything skills based with 8 different skills. So we break down each curriculum. So for ages 3 and 4, they have their own curriculum with 8 different skills that they're working on. Then you have 5 and 6 with their 8 different skills, and each one, it keeps scaling up all the way to adults. Now we also have Parenting Skillz, which we're super excited to launch. So there's 8 different skills that we've identified that can really help you connect more with your child and help them as they growing up. One thing we always say is it takes a village to raise a child. ZENTAI is part of your village.
Yes.
We're here. We're raising children just like you. And we're going through the challenges just like you are. So we're looking out and doing a lot of research, a lot of time studying, connecting with some of the biggest experts in the industry to bring that information hopefully back to you, so we can at least have 1% improvements, because we're not going to improve everything and change everything overnight, right?
Yeah, and I think it's important to also note that we've been having a lot of conversations with parents ever since last year. I mean, it's interesting to believe that it's been 1 year that we've been dealing and navigating these new challenging parenting waters. And we've been having conversations with parents, and we've been having camps, and we've had children with us every day since last year, March.
Yeah.
So we've been able to watch the change. We've been able to see the transformation in some, but we've also been able to see the power of some of these tips that we've been already implementing in our Child Development Center. We've been implementing in our martial arts classes, in our summer camps, and we've been implementing it in our home, because like I said, we try it at home first. We're parents as well, and we've identified the challenges. So in conversations with parents, we put all this together. Many of you know that I'm a special educator. It's what I did, teaching in the public schools for many years, with my focus in behavioral management. So, but this is pre-pandemic, right? So this is a completely different world, but we know that there are certain truths that remain exact, that remain the same. There are certain truths that remain, and that's what we want to chat with you today about, how at a biological level, the pandemic is affecting children's brains, which is very interesting.
Just looking at the science, because it's very easy for us as parents to see undesired behavior, or what some people might call bad behavior, we like to stay away from that, right? And say, well, this is not the desired behavior that we want. There's a behavior that we want to see. There's a behavior that we don't want to see. So it's an undesired behavior. No kid is bad or good. But when we're looking at these things, understanding the science behind what the child is going through, the changes that they're going through, and how we can help them, because it's very kind of just dismissive of the overall picture to say, well, this child is just being rebellious, or this child is just acting out. They're just choosing to be bad, quote unquote bad, right? So, I'm so hesitant to even use the word bad. We don't like using it, right? But that's unfortunately what's said, right? So I had a child, it's an awesome video. I wish I could share it with you guys, but it's a private video. A child, and he's almost in tears, and he's talking about how he was such a bad kid, and that he's come so far, and that he's a lot less bad. But that broke my heart. I mean, one, I'm so happy that he feels like he's making progress. But another part is his bar is set around being bad. How bad am I? Am I this bad, or this bad? I'm a lot less bad, right? Instead of being, hey, I'm good, I'm positive, I'm confident, right? On a positive amount, or hey, I used to do things that maybe got me in trouble. Now I do less things that get me in trouble. But you're not a bad kid, right? So that's what we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing that a lot. And that's something we want to try to connect with parents on, from both sides, because I think we need to see it from both the teachers, because we do see it, unfortunately, in the educational systems where this is a bad kid, right? And we see it from parents, right? Because that's the way we were brought up. You're acting bad. You're being a bad kid. So it's nothing to pass judgment on or anything. We've all made the mistakes. We've made a ton of the mistakes. Absolutely. But it's trying to identify those mistakes and go, you know what? As a parent, I keep doing this. And there's been times where I make, big mistakes as a parent. And then I can reflect back and say, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. There's a better way. Or even if I feel like it wasn't completely, something wrong as a parent, but I think, is there a better way to do this, right? Because sometimes it's not, it wasn't wrong what I did. No, but maybe there's a way that you can help your child even more. Right. And isn't that what we all want?
Under so much stress. And that's something that we want you to know. We understand. We are all under a lot of stress already, from parenting, from working, from navigating virtual learning, all of these things. So it is hard for us to think about it in the moment as you're going through. So that's why we want to talk about it from the outside right now, when hopefully children are sleeping, and some of you are going to watch this at a later time, but that you can have these tools in your in your bin right there. You can just pull them out when you need. So let's chat a little bit about what's happening. What are children dealing with? What are we seeing? What are the behaviors? So everyone knows that we're all under stress, right? Whether you feel stressed out or not, the world as we know it has changed for our children. It's changed for us. It's changed the way we do life. It's changed even for some people when you actually may have lost a family member, right? So the world has changed, and inevitably that creates stress. So at a biological level, right? Stress, it actually releases hormones. The stress hormone, which many adults, we know it's cortisol. So that is being released into our body, and it's constantly keeping people in that fight or flight response, right? Where you think obviously something bad is going to happen, or something bad is happening. And it's a defense mechanism that comes from self-preservation. But the fact that we are constantly in that state of stress, it's keeping our bodies, the adults and the children, in that state of constant reactive. It's like you have very limited amounts of the ability to be able to process everything that we're going through. So that level of stress that children are experiencing, they're dealing with high levels of cortisol, high levels of adrenaline, right? Adrenaline, what you would feel when you're going, jumping out of a plane. Imagine feeling that. every day within you. And also asking people to sit down and watch and do class online while mom and dad are trying to do their working from home, while the dog is barking, while the mail is arriving, while you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay the rent if maybe you've lost a job. So that's the reality. That's what we're experiencing. And it's important to acknowledge that. By being able to acknowledge that, then we say, okay, how do we fix that? What do we do? So on a biological level, we know that this is what's happening in the brain. All of these hormones are being released. So our goal is to release the hormones that actually counteract that. Right? So we're talking about the good hormones, the feel good, the serotonin. We're talking about endorphins, and we're talking about how do we release those things? There are
dopamine.
And there are specific actions that we can take in order to be able to release that. So we know, for example, I have a daughter who, when she is having a really difficult time, she needs a reset. It's a quick reset. There's no arguing back and forth. It's a quick, come here, let me give you a hug. And that hug, right? Like, that's it. It releases her. It's a very quick reset. It's not the same with my son. My son will get, he slips up. He doesn't like want that, like a log. Yeah, and I said, that's not a hug. But we've learned that about her, because when we give her a hug, right away, endorphins are being released. She starts feeling better, and now she can handle that stress that she's feeling.
We're skipping ahead a little bit and giving you some of the exciting content that we have for you today. So again, we're going to go over really quickly 8 different skills that you can use to start implementing some of these things today. That's going to help you with your children.
Yeah, but in terms of what children are experiencing, one of the things that I wanted to just bring up, we get in a lot of conversations with parents when they say, my child's showing a lot of symptoms. They're very sick, stomach aches, headaches. It's showing up in migraines. It's showing up in inability to sleep. And like I said, we see it with the children that come to us through the school. Children are regressing. They're losing their social skills. They're losing just their confidence, anxiety, social anxiety, because for such a long time, we were told you can't go out. And now you're told maybe you can go out. So now children, especially in our state of New Jersey, are still trying to navigate. Like, can I see my friends? Can I not see my friends? Is it okay to see people? Is it not okay to see people?
Especially when you're talking about the younger age. Because when we talk, for example, of preschoolers, 3 and 4-year-olds, one of the things that we know that preschoolers do is that they tend to use their hands a lot, right? Sometimes we interpret this as bad behavior. They touch, they push. There's a reason for this. I took French when I was in high school, but don't ask me to speak any French, right? I took it for about 1.5 years. I couldn't even ask for a cup of coffee in French, right? I know very little. So imagine what a 3-year-old, how extensive is their vocabulary? They're just learning what language is.
Yes.
So sometimes we see a 3-year-old and they're able to communicate because they start talking and everything, but their language is actually very, very limited.
Yes.
That's why we need to, when we're in our early skills class, our 3 and 4-year-old class, we train our instructors need to speak slowly. You need to very clear instructions. Just try to keep it to a 1-step instruction, because we throw these things thinking they understand and just saying, huh? And then we're like, well, this kid's not listening. Well, no, they're not understanding. They can't keep up with this. So a lot of what they rely on is body language, smiles, frowns. They start identifying,
yes,
you didn't like that. I guess that frown is, smile. I guess you're happy, right? So they're learning a lot of body language while they're learning the vocabulary. Add to this, learning my body language, right? My facial expressions.
Yes.
How difficult is this?
Yeah.
Right? Now it's just the eyes, right? They're trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So what is that going to do? That's going to cause even more frustration in a 3 and 4-year-old. And it goes on beyond that to 4 and 5-year-olds, a little bit less, because now their vocabulary starts increasing. So they're able to communicate through a mask. But a 3 and 4-year-old is going to have a lot of trouble understanding and getting that connection with whoever it is that they're associating with.
Yeah.
So already when they're developing these social behaviors, meeting people. Now we add this to the equation. It makes it very, very challenging for them.
It is. And one of the things that they're struggling is precisely that, being socializing with others, having the ability, because they don't have that opportunity if they're going to school virtually. And what we're seeing when the students arrive into our child development center is, more than the martial arts, they just want to talk to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So these challenges, they're showing up in what we interpret as misbehaving, right? Because we see the kids, they're just happy to see another human being that it's their same age. And one of the moms actually sharing here, she says that her daughter has been more out than most, but she still told her that, she's scared to go to Disney until the virus is gone, right? So some kids are,
it's surprising how much they pick up on this.
Absolutely.
Right?
Maybe,
even the little
if
kids,
even
if we didn't tell them, they pick up on it. They pick up on it. It's been a year of this. They definitely know what's going on.
Shows up in that social anxiety. And in an academic level, then it shows up in the inability to focus, right? You have such a hard time trying to get just simple math, trying to get things that maybe they already knew, writing their name, focusing on the computer all day, even those who have to go in person, because of that sense of, should I be out? Should I be doing this? Or should I not be doing this?
It's interesting. We go talking about, even with the older kids, one of the things that we identify a lot with children 10 years old and above, 10 to 14, going a little bit into that age group, is that they're incredibly smart. Most of their brain has developed. The brain goes developing from the rear side of the brain towards the front. And that's why we have the TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Right? Because they can spit out facts and everything like this. Sometimes they're like, hey, but you're not doing this right. And you don't know how to wash these dishes and, do this. And they're like, really? You're so smart? Here, do my homework. And I'm like, oh, snap. Wait. I don't remember that. We didn't do that the same way. So and that's why I say, are you smarter than a fifth grade? They're incredibly smart, but their brain goes developing from the back to the front. And the front, and our prefrontal cortex, or as my son say, with the
he calls it the prefrontal back
cortex, or something. So
he's
this is the area of the brain that has to do with executive decision-making skills.
Yes.
So logical thought. So funny story, true story. I was actually at a training session with one of our leaders in training of our students. He was about 14 years old at the time. He has his laptop. He's doing the whole training. He's doing this whole seminar. He's learning all these skills about child development and everything like that. And he has his laptop, and he makes this whole presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation, on the subject during the conference. So he shows me in between the break. He's like, Pastor Alan, check this out. Look what I did. Blah, blah, blah. He's showing me all these graphs and all this thing. And he showed me on his laptop, and the table's here, and the laptop is like that, hanging off of the table. And I'm like, yeah, did you hear the part about the prefrontal cortex and the decision-making skills and kind of making just boneheaded decisions? He's like, yeah, I got that all in here. I'm like, look at how your laptop is hanging off the table. A beautiful Mac laptop. It's like literally about to fall. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, you're a great genius. Example. You're a genius. Like, it's great, the content. You absorb the content. You're able to put it out, put it into. But your decision-making skills, that was like a really bad decision. You just put that at the edge of the table, and you're about to break a $1,500 machine.
And that's happening with even younger children, right? Because as they're being, they're under so much stress, and like we mentioned before, all these hormones that are being released that elevate the level of stress, it's affecting their executive function.
Yes, so because that cortisol shuts down at the underdeveloped part of the brain. So in an adult, let's take it down. In an adult, the cortisone will shut down. So like it's same thing happens when your adrenaline gets going. It's the same reason why if you walk on a piece of 2x4 that's laying on the floor, you can like walk across it, no problem. You take that same 2x4, you put it by 2 buildings, 2 skyscrapers, you're like, oh, and your balance is all off. Everything starts going off. Things just start shutting down in your brain because of the stress of, oh my God, look where I am. So that's the stress, what stress does to your brain. So when these children are stressed in an area of the brain that's already not yet developed, I don't want to say underdeveloped, because it's not underdeveloped as in hasn't, but it just hasn't developed yet. Now you're adding the stress to something that was already and brought it down. Yeah. So it's no wonder why they would make undesired behaviors, making choices that are not, what we would call the brightest of stress. How could you do that? What were you thinking? How many times as parents have we said that? What were you thinking?
Because what happens then with parents and us teachers, right, is that when we see undesired behavior, then what do we think? Oh, we have to get sterner.
Yeah.
We have to, lay down the law. We have to
So I'm stressed.
So now we add more stress.
Oh my God, I'm in trouble. And you didn't do this. And sometimes, we can even see kids you're like, what's going on? Like they'll get corrected, and then the teacher tells them something, and they go even sterner, and the kid
they can't move. Yeah,
do your homework. You start working on your paper.
And then they'll interpret that as disrespect.
And then you say, wow, you're being even more rebellious? Really? You're going to challenge me? I'm telling you to work on this and you're not going to do it? Yeah. I'm standing right here and you're not doing it. But you're literally locking them down with the overwhelming amount of stress that maybe they already started off because maybe they didn't understand something, or they were just stressed about the assignment or stressed about everything else that we're speaking about. And now that's adding more. And then it's being put out and it's looking like a rebellious or quote unquote bad behavior. Yeah. Let me show you really quick the 8 skills that we're going to be.
And this is how we're going to help children. I know that you guys identify. Yes, I know that this is happening in my house. So what we want to show you are ways that we can implement things disclaimer that we're going to be breaking them down throughout our parents meetups. So tonight we just want to give you a general idea of them, and we're going to be able to dive deep so that we can start planning these things, and we can start planting seeds within our children and in our homes, and helping each other with new ideas of how to implement them at home. So what the first parent skill that we want to share with you is connection. So we have, so what is connection? I think that's something that we know, that we understand. Okay, what does that mean? I love my child. But this goes to, a deeper level of love. We are talking about connecting at a deeper level with a child. And this is a perfect example that Alan always brings up to me, because I'm working, I'm cooking in the house, and I'm like, Alexa, tell the kids it's time for, come down to dinner. So I shouted out on the Alexa, why? Because I'm on the second floor, they're doing something else. But I have to, yes, Caleb's got his headphones, video games. I have to make that announcement how many times?
What's the level of connection there? Think about it. Let's put that right on a scale of 0 to 10. Yeah. Right? What's the level of connection?
Yeah, and then I'm getting angry because I'm like, guys, the dinner is getting cold, or I've called you a million times, and we have to do this. I have no idea, no context whether they actually heard me or
maybe
not.
take it from level 1 to level 2, right? Is just like shouting, hey, come down, come and eat. It's playing some. Maybe level 2 connection.
Yeah,
right?
But what a difference when I've actually gone up, knock on the door. Yes, it requires for me to stop what I was doing and go upstairs and let them know, hey guys, dinner is ready. We're going to be eating in a few minutes. Come down.
That's amazing. I mean, now we're talking about level 7, level 8 connection, right? We're going up really high. What if you go one step further? You go over, touch their shoulder, right? Make a physical connection, right? Maybe lower your level. Get down to here. Hey, oh, what are you doing? You playing that video game? Oh man, that looks like a really awesome game. How's it going? Oh yeah, it's good. I just got to. Oh wow, that's really amazing. Hey, awesome. I know you're having a lot of fun. Dinner's ready. Let's go downstairs and eat, and maybe after we're done, you could come back and play some more.
And we're not talking about utopian, future that we, because I know some of you are like,
we're giving you the scale.
Really, Miss Naomi? That's not going to happen. Let's be intentional about understanding that. It's okay. There are some days where you are going to use the Alexa and you are going to shout dinner is ready, but be okay knowing the level of connection that it's not happening by doing that, right?
Again, that's the first step, right? Being awareness of this, right? And maybe you might choose, maybe it is a day that you're going to go up and you say, you know what? I am going to go and make that deeper connection. Maybe you said it over the Alexa, or maybe you shouted it out a few times and they didn't respond. And you say, you have 2 options. You're going to get upset, right? And we're going to increase this stress hormone.
Yes. Now, in me and then in my child as well.
Or 2, I'm going to take a pause. I remember what Master Alan and Miss Naomi were talking about. let me test this out. I'm going to go over, try to make an actual real connection.
Yeah.
And then see what happens from there. And then that's just going to make for a more pleasant experience for you. And I know it takes time. And I know it's, and again, first to say, we use Alexa and call them all the time, right? I know it takes time, but it's something that we can implement to really have that stronger bond, particularly if you're noticing that stress or those behaviors go up.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
If you're noticing that in your child, then this is something you might want to implement.
Yeah. And I saw this meme that really, it really stuck with me, where it says, change the word seeking attention for seeking connection, and see how your perspective will change. And that has been—
Say that one more time. What was that?
Change the words seeking attention for seeking connection, and see how your perspective will change. I can't take credit for that, but it truly helped me so much, because I actually see a few of the parents mention that, it's like, it's okay, children, they tend to do attention seeking behavior. But how about if we change the wording, instead of thinking you're attention seeking, you are connection seeking. I think that as parents,
and it really is the same thing. So it's not wrong to say that they're seeking attention, because they probably are. Well, the reason why we're changing the word, why I think it's important, is because of the mindset that we're thinking of, right? Oftentimes it's like, oh, it's just he wants attention. He just wants attention, and it's as a negative thing, right? If we said it, he wanted attention as a positive thing, then it would be fine. Oh, he wants attention, let me go give him attention. But so kind of like trying to give you a mental shift by saying, hey, the first parenting skill Master Adam and Miss Naomi spoke about was connection. So when you think, oh, he's just seeking attention, switch, he's seeking connection, right? Yeah. So then that's going to be a trigger reminder for you, right? To go out, for us to go out and say, let me try to see how I can take this opportunity and connect with my child.
Absolutely, especially because of what we've lived through in this past year, where people, they probably don't get to see the people in their life. They know everything that they cannot do. They can't see grandma. They can't see their friends. Sports have been canceled. So they're missing that connection. And so the goal here is, let's connect with them. Let's release those really good hormones in them, that it's going to reset, and it's going to create more responsive behavior in them. Yeah.
And again, in the month of March, we're going to be diving deep into the science behind the connection, right? One of the neurotransmitters that's used the most in that is oxytocin. So we're going to talk about that and how you can implement the use of oxytocin to reduce their stress and have them feel better about themselves. So we're going to dive deep into that. Today, we're just trying to give you an overview of all these 8 talking points and give you little quick tips that you can go home and implement right away. But March, we will be talking about connection.
Yeah. So our next parenting skill is attunement. And it's really, just being aware of who your child is. I like to tell my parents, you are the expert in your child. So it's going to be, you are going to be the one telling me what your child needs. And sometimes we get very frustrated with our children. We think, I don't know what you want. I think if we stop for a moment, we're able to look back, and we know that even for those of us who have multiple children, each child is different. Each personality is different. And I like to think that, they were placed in our family for a reason, because we could be the best parents for them. So, when we might feel sometimes that we're doing everything wrong, we just don't know, we're trying to figure it out. I just want to talk to you and just pour some life into you and remind you that you were chosen to be your child's parent for a reason. You have the skills that you need in order to be the best parent for them. So you are the one that gets to say, you know what, that's too much for my baby. That's a lot for them. And we become advocates for them, even against ourselves.
Right.
Because we do that for them. We put a lot of pressure. And if you are in a partnership, where there is another parent parenting with you, hold each other accountable in that sense, because a lot of times Alan does it for me and I do it for him. Like, that's a lot. Like, okay, let's stop. No, he's not, because we know our children. We know.
Don't correct each other in front of their children.
You do that. Yes.
But you can give them the little.
Yes, Exactly. Yeah, you're a team and you're working.
Give a little sign from the back.
That's right. So but the goal is to be able to become an advocate for your child against yourself. You are being attuned with their weaknesses and their strength, and we're going to develop their responsibility, because you say, hey buddy, so we know that, it's a challenge for you to wake up early in the morning. That's something that we already know. So let's take responsibility on that and develop that. What can we do so that we're not now creating a daily routine that it's conducive to more stress, right? If we know that's a weakness, then let's proactively prepare for that. But the same way we can say, but I know that you're strong on this, and this is something that you can continue developing because you're so good at it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. So being definitely aware. Each child, as we know, is completely different. So we want to make sure we are aware of that. So let's go right away. Move on to número 3.
Patience. Oh, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I've been teaching for many years. I taught public schools for, more than 15 years. And you just have, it's just being able to take a few extra seconds before you say something, before you do something. It's stopping yourself and allowing the child to speak and hear, and then say, okay, what happened? That is patience. It's not just, waiting for the child to change and do what you wanted them to do, but being able to stop, think, and then speak.
That's right. And it's, good that it's the third skill that we're going to talk about, because I think it reinforces the first two.
Yeah.
Right? When you're talking about connection, oftentimes you're going to need to use patience for that, right?
Agreed.
So then it goes back and reinforces that. When you're talking about being attuned with your child, it's going to take patience. It's going to take some understanding. And, when in a world where everything's so hectic and moving around and you got to do this, you got to do that, it's very hard to take the time to be aligned with your child's needs.
Yeah.
So practicing that patience and having that is going to be, key for your child, and also in them watching you, learning. As you have more patience with them, they're going to have more patience with you.
Yes.
And we all need a little more patience.
Absolutely. It's so important to know that we're modeling to them how you're supposed to behave. So these are skills that they are picking up on subconsciously. How do you treat people? How fast do I go from 0 to 60? When do I start yelling at people? When do I hit? That they're learning from us.
Absolutely.
So whatever we want them to do, I think it's important that it starts with that patience, right? With being patient with them and understanding that. My mom gave me these very big words of wisdom, and like it kind of goes with what you talked about, language. My mom said, think about this. 2 years ago, he wasn't here. He didn't exist. So it was like with my son when he was a baby. And it's so true. If you think about it, a few years ago, they were not here on earth. So let's be patient. Let's allow them to bloom. So I think that's going to be a really good one to dig deep.
That's going to be amazing.
Right.
The next one we have is
prompting.
Yes. How do I remove these? Previous one. Here we go.
So you guys can see it. So prompting, it's really just guiding the child in the behavior that we want them to do, rather than focusing on what we don't want them to do. And this is something we talk about a lot in our Child Development Center, in our training. It's been my motto as a teacher. I come from a behavioral mindset of, positive reinforcement. That is my theory in teaching, that, when you tell the child, this is what I want you to do, and you express clear expectations, and then we reinforce that. What an awesome job you've done. Finding something good that they are doing. And I know some days is harder than others, but when you focus so much in what they're doing wrong, on what they're not doing, and if we're talking about the child's lacking that connection with us, well, guess what? If I throw a tantrum and I act out, what happens with mommy? She pays attention to me. So what do I do when next time I want attention or connection? I act out. Right.
And we see that a lot in classes as well. Let's say, usually if there's a child where I know it's going to struggle with standing still, then I would say, hey class, let's look at Naomi. She's doing an awesome job standing. So she's so good at standing perfectly straight and doing this. Watch, I want everybody to see how she stands still. Go ahead, stand straight. Now I've just set it up a few different things. One, the child that would be normally possibly moving, I've encouraged them and put them on a pedestal where now they feel good about themselves. Like, hey, I'm not getting in trouble where I normally get in trouble. I'm actually doing something good. I'm being highlighted as the model for doing something good. And it's motivating me to now do the good behavior. So this is a way to prompt them to do the desired behavior that you want. You can use all kinds of stuff. You can use, competition, healthy competition to try to encourage them to do this. We're going to, I'm going to try to clean up this side of the room and you're going to clean up that side of the room and see who can be done first. We're going to do it first and then go and race to do that. You can do other things like giving them
the fastest to do this. Yeah.
Giving them options on things and say, if it's a really little kid and, they're struggling to brush their teeth, maybe you give them 2 toothbrushes and you say, do you want to use, the Mickey Mouse toothbrush or do you want to use the, I'm thinking why I'm thinking of wide. No, I was thinking of because we were talking about super wide today. So the super wide. Which one? So
those
now it's
giving cartoons when our kids were little. I don't think super wide.
Really?
But it's a great one if your kid's learning how to read. I'm just saying.
So it's giving them some options and doing that. So you're trying to prompt them to do the desired behavior that you want without saying, hey, if you don't brush your teeth, this and that, or you didn't do this, or you didn't clean your room, or so trying to find a way to be creative in trying to encourage them, motivate them to do the behavior that you want. And don't forget to praise that behavior, right? So if they win, they do it. Wow, oh my God, I think this was the record for as fast as you cleaned your room. That was amazing. Oh my God, I'm going to have to write that down.
Rather than, oh, you finally cleaned your room. Because then you feel like, okay, well, I'm doomed if I do, doomed if I don't.
Even if they took a while, a while. Oh my God, it took you 2 hours to clean your room. All right, that's cool. It took you 2 hours. Let's write that down. This time it took you 2 hours. Next time, I want you to try to beat your own record. So now they're like, what? I could beat my record. I did it in 2 hours. I said, I'm pretty sure. I was pretty relaxed cleaning my room and I wasn't paying attention. I'm pretty sure I can beat that this time, right? And then they'll go out and beat that. So that's ways to kind of like encourage them to do the desired behavior,
letting them know. And before we move away from prompting, I just want to remind you of this. However we speak to our children, that becomes their inner voice. So say that again.
Yeah.
However we speak to our children, that becomes their inner voice. Yeah. So in prompting them, when they're 30, 40, 50, they're going to hear mom telling me, do the dishes this way, clean up this way. You are this. So in prompting, use everything that you need to use, patience, self-control, to remember, how do I want my child to, what do I want them to hear when they're older, when they're an adult, and this is their inner voice.
Think of what they might hear that is negative.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, you're so lazy. Oh my God, you never focus.
Yeah.
Oh my God, fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Right? This is really deep, guys. Yeah. We've worked with not only children, but also adults.
Absolutely.
And we've dug deep into this. And we identify that, what we call it as little voice syndrome, right? And there's this little voice, and it's usually around middle school age where something happens that profoundly impacts your life.
Yeah.
And you're then 40 years old, and there's still this version of you when you were 8 years old that someone said something to you.
Yes.
You're not good enough. You can't pass that test. And that stuck with you. And that became part of your identity.
Yeah.
For some people, it's language. Maybe English isn't your first language. And then it became part of your identity. Oh, it's because, I can't communicate well. People don't understand me because I don't speak the language. And then that became and now that's holding you back in your career. So even you parents is something that we can look at, right?
Yeah,
what could be possibly holding us back? So when you think that right now you have the opportunity to become that little voice
in a
positive way.
Yes.
That's so powerful.
It is.
Guys.
It is.
So powerful, right? That's why one of the things that we've been, drilling a lot recently is I do hard things.
Yes.
Right? We want to, you guys know, we drill things into the head. We say, we are
the best.
Right? Hard work
pays off.
And we never
give up.
We never give up. So we drill these things so that when they're thinking, I want to give up, that's their inner voice. Part of who I am, I never give up.
Yeah.
A part of my voice, I know hard work pays off.
That's right.
Part of my voice is, I do hard things. This is hard. Someone says, oh, that's hard. That's really hard to do. All right. I do hard things.
Yeah.
That's my little voice inside.
That's
right.
So
that's a whole talk. That's a whole talk.
Because I know that prompting is so powerful. So think of that. I know we've given you a lot to think about that. Now, our fifth parent skill is edutainment. And this is a cool one. This is where, the parents get a chance to just become a child again, make every opportunity fun, change things around, and one my child's not supposed to be doing this while they're learning. It's still a classroom. So, however, if we turned it around a little bit and made it a little bit fun, do you want to wear your pajamas? And yes, I know that different schools have different rules, so I understand that. But what is the goal that we have? Is the goal that they do their homework or that they wear a uniform? Right. The goal is to make it fun. It's like use entertainment, fun. We're going to do it with music. My kids love playing music while they're doing homework. They want to sit in the sunroom when they're doing the homework. Let's sit in the sunroom. You want to drink hot chocolate while we're doing it? Let's do that. Because ultimately, sometimes you have to think of fun ways to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Set up a timer. Let's beat the timer. We're finding opportunities for them to, to get the goal. So focus on the goal and don't stress about the process of how you get there. And as a special educator, my mind thinks that way because I have to think of ways that I can adapt certain things for the children. So I've had kids do class with no shoes on. Mm-hmm. I've had them sit on a ball instead of sitting on a chair. We've had them take breaks and do, silly putty or create something or have a snack, but find ways to make things fun. In that way, you are able to teach them, but they are doing it in a fun way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we want to move on to our sixth parent skill,
which is find it really quick for you guys.
We're going to put it right here. So it is nurturing. So nurturing, it goes very connected with what we were talking about in terms of prompting, because it's so connecting in how we're creating an identity in them, right? So there is, in psychology, we always talk about the dilemma between nurture and nature. Mm-hmm. So nature, you're born with certain level of skills, right? There are certain items that are already in you, in your personality, abilities, and talents. But then nurture is what developed those things, So you have certain abilities, you go to school and you improve in them. The same way with mindset, the same way as we were talking about, the more we say certain things to our children, we nurture them. And some families have different culture, right? You do certain things. There are certain things that this is valuable to us. So we nurture, whether it is our relationship with the grandparents every Sunday, this is what we do, or whether it is important for you to attend church every Sunday, whatever it might be, nurturing requires consistent time. It's something that you do until it flourishes.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is defining things.
Yes.
Right. So it's important to just define both the undesired behavior and the desired behavior. Defining what it means to be honest. Defining what it means to be disciplined. You say, well, you lack discipline, right? Well, what does it mean to be disciplined, right? Maybe it's, doing the right thing even when no one's watching, right? Or that's, integrity. So we define those things for them in a way that they can label that. So it's not so quick to become part of who they are. So if they miss the mark on something and they do an undesired behavior, right? They lied, does it make them a liar, right? We see that also. We work a lot with bullies, right? So people who have bullied someone. So no, you're not a bully.
Yeah.
You did this behavior
And
that's
we
interpreted
separate
as,
those
you
two.
know, bully behavior, right? That's not who you are, right? That's not who you are. Let's separate that, identify that behavior so that you can see it, right? Almost like third person. And then now you can identify and choose not to do it or to do it. But you
Yeah.
understand that you're making that choice, but that's not who you are.
Absolutely.
And that's important in nurturing a child's behavior. So when I identify this is behavior well defined that we want to see, this is behavior that we don't want to see, very well defined within their parameters, because we use, again, words that we just assume they are going to understand.
Yes.
Right. And what ends up happening is that becomes very quickly part of their identity. Yes. Because, well, there's this thing, this undesired behavior. I did this undesired behavior, therefore I am undesirable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That become, I own that because you just said, I don't like this. You don't like what I did. So you don't like me. No. Let's define this behavior, right? So it's almost like a book. You can put it here. Here is this behavior. Let's look at this. Let's analyze this from different angles. You know, there's people who do this and that, and what would be wrong about that? And how would we fix that? Now this is well-defined, almost object, and you can look at it abstractly and say, okay, sometimes I start doing this action, but I can also choose not to do this action. Yeah. And it's separated from my identity. And that's part of nurturing that child through that process. Yeah,
and that one we'll dive deep into that one, but I also wanted to clarify that sometimes even with positive behavior, that is something that we nurture, right? That becomes that part of their identity. Like, if you do this, then you're a good boy or you're a good girl, and be very mindful of that, because when they cannot do that, then their identity is completely shattered. Like, I'm obviously not a good boy because I couldn't do that. Because I couldn't get 100.
One of the things that we always use as part of our teaching skills is that we try to encourage them to work hard, right? We want you to put effort. So we praise your effort, right? So, you know, a child shows me a nice drawing that they did. Instead of you know, saying you know, oh, you're so smart, or you did this exercise, I say, wow, I really appreciate how much work you put into this.
And thank you. I'm very appreciative.
Look how you colored within the lines.
Yeah.
Wow, that was, you know, you must have worked really hard on doing that. Some kids might be like, oh, well, pretty easy to me. You know, other kids is like, yeah, I did work hard on that. But either way, what you're establishing is that, wow, I like the fact that you worked hard at this. So that's encouraging something that they're never going to fail at, right? You can always work hard at something. Now, if, you know, they do a math test, they ace a math test, 100. Wow, you're so smart. Great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so proud of you, man. My kid's so smart. He got 100 on his test. Be careful with that, because there's the other side of that coin.
Yeah.
What happens tomorrow when they don't pass a math test, when they get a 90 or an 80?
In this process, when they've lost so many of their skills because they're not present in their class.
What did you tell them? You taught them that when they get 100, they're smart.
Yeah.
So if they didn't get 100,
then I obviously am not.
I'm not smart.
Yeah.
Right?
And that actually, it connects so well with the next parent skill, which is of adaptability.
Yes.
Right? Like, for us to be able to be flexible. I mean, this last year, I think, has been the biggest test in adaptability. We've had to learn how to redo, you know, everything that we do, whether how we work, how we order our groceries, how we celebrate certain holidays and birthdays. But humans are so resilient. Yes. Humans are amazing. I mean, the incredible thing, so inspirational that we saw birthdays being celebrated in such a creative way. We can do that for many other things, Well, I'm going to challenge you to let's do it at home. Let's be adaptable, because something that it's not flexible, it breaks. Right? That's why a rubber doesn't break, right? It stretches and you turn it around, you do whatever you need to do. But something that's stiff, when you try to bend it, it will snap. And that is what happens with us when we are not adaptable. We couldn't do that. Okay, it's fine. We couldn't get to this place. We couldn't, but guess what? This is what we can do. So let's focus on what we can do, because children are being told so much what they cannot do. And let's be adaptable. We are modeling that to them.
Yeah.
We're modeling, we're letting them know how you react to change. How do you cope with different things that come into life through adaptability?
That's right. And like you said, it's something that we've all have had to adapt so much within the last year, but how you adapt is also going to be key, right? Because a lot of adaptation has been forced, right? So are you being a leader, right? So when you see the situation and say, okay, I'm just being put in this box, I'm being forced to do this, I'm being forced to do that, versus as a leader looking at it and say, okay, these are the new parameters of the game, right? I always compare it to like Monopoly, because everybody plays Monopoly differently, right? It's like, is there free parking? Are you putting money in the middle? Are you doing this? You have to go once around the board before you start buying. So, no, you don't, you can buy right away. So all these rules, they change the parameter, right, of the game, and it can drastically change the results of the game, right? But we have to be adaptable. What are the rules? This is the rule. Okay, rules change. Okay, maybe I have to change my strategy. Maybe I have to do something differently. So adapt, but us being leaders to our children and our families, and them seeing us, okay, this is now different. No problem. Okay, how are we going to figure this out differently? How are we going to have some fun a different way? Instead of, oh my God, now we can't do this fun thing or this or that, and really kind of getting bogged down by that. It's not showing adaptability. It's forced adaptability, because you were forced into a certain situation. That's not what we want to see. We mean adaptability is choosing to pivot, to adapt to the needs that are ever changing, and it doesn't have to be anything as drastic as what we've seen in the last year. Sometimes it's something, you're going to go to the park and it started raining.
That's right. And say, hey, let's have an indoor picnic, or let's do something.
You can say, oh, bummer, it sucks, it's raining, we're not going to do it. I guess, just going to Netflix all day, right? So let's try to think creatively and adapt for that.
Yeah. So one of the things that we love.
We're not going to the next one?
Yeah, we're going to go. But I just wanted to say that one of the things we love with the students is that they're going to respond to the level of excitement that you have. We're like, guys, awesome news. We're drinking water. And the kids are like, yay, we're all drinking water. Parents, be silly, be fun. When you have to change the plans, just make it fun. Tell them you have good news for them, and then it's going to change it all. It changes their attitude.
Energy is everything, right? So, and again, when we start talking about, the hormones and the neurotransmitters that you do, our bodies are just really reacting and responding to our hormones and these stimulants, these neurotransmitters that are firing in our brain, that are telling us how to feel, how to act. So once you really start diving deep, and you guys are going to love this in the coming months, we're really going to give you little tips where someone who wasn't feeling well, when your child wasn't good, how give a tip to help them actually feel better, despite it raining outside, despite these, whatever plans was it that you had to adapt. And how can we actually biologically help them get in a better mood, right? We're not talking about just convincing them that something is good, but biologically help them get in a better mood. How a hug can do that. Right?
Absolutely. So then the last one, I can't believe it. So we're going to talk about our last parent skill, which is consistency. And I know that this sounds almost like the opposite of what we were just talking about with flexibility, but it's not. We are talking about a consistent, what is the constant in our children's lives is us. And so much has changed in them. But I kept on sharing with our parents. We said, you know what? It's important that even when children are not attending school, they keep a schedule. They wake up, they have a routine. Those are things that, children thrive in order. They thrive in a routine, in clarity. I'm going to wake up. there is breakfast. Then after breakfast, I'm going to do my schoolwork. Then at this time is bedtime. That's why in the summer, kids are all over the place. And then us teachers, we dread when comes September, trying to get everybody back on that grind, on that routine. But consistency is just knowing what to expect, because we're not just talking about tasks and actions, but we know how to feel.
Right.
I know if I walk into grandma's house, consistently, I'm going to get a cookie. And I'm already excited because I'm going to grandma's house, right? So that's the same thing with us as parents. It's bedtime. What does that feel like? Be consistent with those positive feels. I'm going to read a book with the kids, or maybe I don't get to read a book. That's okay. We're going to play some music. There is consistency in the things that are good. And, a lot of families were understandably scared to go out, to do certain things, to be involved in certain sports. But we know how important that is for children, to have their minds connected with something other than fear, because you can't lead from a place of fear. As a parent, you cannot lead. That is true. If you are in fear, you're not leading. That's the truth. You're being led. So the first thing you need to do is be consistent with what you're feeding yourself. Say, I'm going to feed myself positivity. I'm going to hang out with people that make me feel better. I am going to speak positive things. And that consistent message that we send to the children, it's like, we're okay. Right? We're going to be okay.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean not to take precautions or not to be careful. Just to be clear on that message. It's not leading from a place of fear. Is understanding, again, the rules of the game, the parameters. Here's what we got. Here's what we're dealing with. Okay, I see it. I acknowledge it, right? What are some of the things that we need to know? This is what we need to know. Great. Now let's move forward. Let's make a decision and actually move forward. That is important for your children to see. It's one of the reasons why, we've been able to stay open from March, April. We looked at what was going on. We quickly took a lot of massive action and investments in making ZENTAI the safest way possible. This is why when all the daycares were shut down, there was only 2 daycares in our town allowed to stay open, and we were the only ones serving school-age children in our town, because we were very quick to see what's going on. All right, what is it? What do we need to do? What do we need to implement? And then we started working directly with the state on helping them prepare some of these policies and guidelines.
Because we knew the kids were going to need it. We
100%.
knew. So we kept on saying their world is crumbling down. Right now, they're losing so much of what they love. We need to remain constant in their lives. We need to remain there. That's why then we did house visits, and we brought Lad to visit the kids. Because they saw Lad. They knew Lad brought them happiness. And guess what? When you pet Lad, you're actually releasing serotonin and all those good feel good hormones that make kids feel good. So that was that consistency that we wanted to recreate by even doing the read alouds with Lad and all of those things. So as we're going to really dive very, very deep into this one, and I love consistency because I'm one of those people that loves checklists and all that, but this isn't what we're talking about in terms of to-do lists and we're able to finish that, but we're talking about that consistency in my child knows what to expect from me. They know they can count on me. They know what I can receive from me.
So first skill that we're going to be talking about in March, connection. Connection is definitely the one thing that every single child needs the most.
Yes.
Number one for a reason. Connection. That's going to be on March 26th.
Mark your calendars. The last Friday of the month. We are hoping to continue this every time consistently on the last Friday of the month.
That's right. So we're perfect time. It's 9:29. We're exactly an hour in. Thank you guys. We had a big crowd here. I see a bunch of comments. Thank you guys for participating. Naturally, we have other people that can be watching this later as time goes on, watching the playback. It's going to be on YouTube.
Share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends, right? You can take the YouTube link, share it on Facebook, text it to your friends. A lot of people have then, saw what we posted. And then afterwards, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were doing this. So take a look. Send it to other people. There's a lot of people who could really benefit from this information, and we hope to get them following along as we go through the 8 parenting skills that it's going to take us through this year. So
absolutely.
We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Have a great night. Thank you for listening
today.
Enjoy.
Have an awesome weekend. And remember to connect with your children.
Yes.
Bye.